Good morning, everybody. You are listening to K-Talk Radio, 1640 AM. This is the show, Utah Home Sweet Home. I am your host, Yoshi Shiraki, and today we are going to be discussing the differences between a remodel of a home that you're going to fix and flip versus a remodel of a home that you're going to renovate for a rental property. They are two completely different remodeling strategies, two completely different purchase strategies when you know what you're going to do before you actually buy. It's very wise to have a good idea that you're going to buy this house as a flip or buy it as a rental before you actually buy it, because the expenses between the two are dramatically different. The time it takes to remodel the two are dramatically different, and the strategy, as I mentioned a second ago, is dramatically different. You're going to spend a lot more money fixing up a house that you're going to fix and flip. And the reason why you are, the reason why it's okay to spend a lot more money on a fix and flip versus a rental is because you're going to sell that house and get your money back relatively quickly. The average flip probably takes anywhere around 4-ish months. Some are quicker, some are longer. So if you dumped a ton of money into a property and sold it 4 months later, you're getting all that money back to go do it again and again and again. So you have the leeway due to that to be able to go and spend lots and lots of money, hypothetically. I mean, given it fits your remodeling budget so that you can't turn around and sell for a profit, you do have that ability to spend lots and lots of money to go ahead and do that because you're not worried so much about your cash return on investment, meaning you're not waiting for, let's say, for example, a rental property. If you were to go spend a bunch of money in a rental, and then you turn around and rent it, and let's just say by the time everything's said and done, you've paid your mortgage, your tenant gives you the rent, your mortgage payment, you take that rental income, you pay off your mortgage payment, you pay off your property manager, you pay off any expenses that are incurred that month, and by the time everything's said and done, you make $50 of cash flow that month. Well, if you are making $50 a month in cash flow, then it's going to take forever to get all your money that you've spent into the renovation back if you're getting only $50 a month to pay back what you've initially spent, if that makes sense. So that's why it's so important when you're vetting the property, when you're looking at it, to know, okay, this is going to be a good rental, this is going to be a good flip, this is where I'm going to dump a lot of money, so I better utilize it as a flip versus a rental property. So we're going to go into the details in regards to that. So things to think about. Okay, so if you're buying a rental property, a good rule of thumb, obviously location is huge. I know there are some investors out there that, as long as the location fits, this is a place they're going to park their money anyway. They don't care if their cash return on investment takes a long time. These are usually investing professionals that have another career. So, for example, a doctor, an attorney, a dentist. These individuals make good money. They're not going to spend a ton of time looking at a ton of deals to find the right one and then park their money there. They're just going to find the right area. Those types of investors look for a good area, then they're going to park their money there for a long time. It's a good investment for them for a long, long time because they're not going to sell it. And maybe their return on investment isn't that great, but it's okay because they make good money in their actual career that they do. These are just long-term investments for them. Kind of a different play if you're a real estate investor who is investing, who's looking at real estate every single day, looking at lots of opportunities, know when to pass on opportunities. And you get access to a lot of opportunities. I probably, because I do this every single day for a living, I probably get presented maybe 7 to 10 properties a week every single week. I might be looking close to anywhere from 28 to 40 properties a month of different opportunities, and many of which I pass on. There are other investors out there who are less picky. There are other investors out there who maybe are newer. They're just willing to make a little less. They want to get started. They want to get experience. They want to get their feet wet. There's all sorts of things that a newer investor may have more flexibility than somebody who's had the opportunity to see tons and tons of opportunities to know, yeah, that one's okay, this one's way better, and this one's really good. Typically, a lot of the individuals we've had on this show, myself, and a lot of my colleagues that I work with and am friends with, because we have opportunities of so many properties that we get an opportunity to take a peek at during the week, we tend to pick the ones that are good. Not the okay ones, not the ones that are pretty good. We pass on most of those and we wait for the good ones because we know they're going to come. I mean, if you're looking at potentially 40 opportunities a month, it's just a matter of time before you're going to get a good one, and a lot of these opportunities come to me from somebody else, which is a strategy called wholesaling. We're going to talk about that a little bit today, and the reason is because we've got a big seminar right now going down in Pleasant Grove. If you have any interest in learning how to wholesale, you might want to head down to Pleasant Grove right after this show ends, or listen to the show while you're driving down there. The seminar is from 9 to 5 today. It's an all-day seminar. The Utah Valley Real Estate Investing Association is the one that's putting on the seminar. I'm the vice president of the Utah Valley Real Estate Investing Association, and basically we have an attorney who's come in to teach the legalities of this strategy. There's a lot of questions and unknowns how to do this correctly, so there was an attorney who volunteered to come in, teach a full-day seminar for the Utah Valley Real Estate Investing Association members. So I'm going to be heading down there as soon as this show ends. So a lot of these opportunities, I'm getting 10 to 40 opportunities that are presented to me through what we call wholesalers, and they're going to send these properties over to a group of people and give them an opportunity to see if they want this discounted property. And in many cases, I would say majority of the cases, the properties that we're looking at from wholesalers are not available to anybody else. They're not on the MLS. They're available to a small group of investors. In some cases, a large group of investors, but they're not available to a large mass of people on the MLS. So you have significantly less competition if you are interested in any of these opportunities, which is really, really cool. Now, a lot of the opportunities that I'll also look at in that 7 to 10 a week are opportunities that I find myself through marketing or word of mouth, friends, family, people I know who know that I purchase properties as investment properties will refer individuals over to me. Their friends, their family, they got an extra house that they don't live in. Maybe they inherited, maybe it's a rental property they don't want anymore. For whatever reason, I'll get opportunities to look at these as well. So when you're looking at so many different opportunities, you tend to have the luxury, I guess, of being able to wait for a good one. And if you're looking for some of these opportunities, a great recommendation is to, one, either start developing relationships with wholesalers so you can get these opportunities too. Two, work with a real estate agent who already has these relationships with a wholesaler, like myself or a few of the guys that I've had on this show. We have relationships with the majority of the wholesalers here in the Wasatch Front, and so work with an agent who already has those relationships. Or three, you can start your own marketing and telling everybody that you're doing this, and make Facebook posts that you're looking to buy something, and you can start to find opportunities yourself as well. So going back, we get a lot of these opportunities that come our way, and if you're going to do a rental property, let's say you're looking to buy a rental, you're not interested in buying a flip, then rental property rules of thumb for rental properties are you typically want to spend less on the renovations so that it doesn't take you as long to get your money back. So you've got to now find a property that has a little bit of challenges, not a lot, because you don't want to spend a ton of money in renovations, but a little bit of challenges so that you can get a discount on the property due to these little challenges, but then go in there and spend a little amount getting them ready. A great strategy is what we call the BRRRR strategy, which is BRRR, which is buy, rehab, rent, and refi. So we're going to talk about the BRRRR strategy here when we get back from commercial break, because this is probably truly one of the best, if not the best way to buy rental properties. So you're not going to want to go away, because the BRRRR strategy is literally a strategy implemented nationwide from most of the top investors, and they'll use the BRRRR strategy to buy single family houses, and they'll use the BRRRR strategy to even buy commercial apartment buildings. So don't go away. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into the BRRRR strategy. With smartphones and technology making life a little easier, the Snap Leash has also been designed to make life a little easier for you and your pup. Whether you're out on a stroll in the park, or possibly a walk through the city, or maybe even a hike up in the mountains, the Snap Leash is the perfect leash for you. The Snap Leash can easily and conveniently convert into 7 types of leashes, making the Snap Leash the most convenient leash in the world. What other leash do you know that is 7 leashes in one? With the Snap Leash having appearances on the Today Show in New York City, TV47 in Dallas, Texas, and ABC4 on Midday, Utah, you are definitely going to want to take a peek at what the Snap Leash can do for you and your best friend. Make life a little easier for you and your pup, and visit www.snapleash.com today. Alright guys, we are back. This is K-Talk Radio, 1640 AM. This is the show, Utah Home Sweet Home. I'm your host, Yoshi Shiraki, and we are talking about fixing and flipping remodeling versus buy and hold remodeling. So a property you're going to fix and flip and sell versus a property you're going to fix and hold as a rental property. So before we went to commercial break, we were talking about the BRRRR strategy. So the BRRRR strategy, if you're just tuning in, stands for, it's B with 3 R's. And some people put 4 R's, letter R's. B stands for buy. The first R stands for rehab. The next R stands for rent, which you're going to rent to a tenant. And then the last R stands for refinance. And people will put another R, which is repeat. Okay, so basically you're going to buy the property, you're going to remodel the property, you're going to rent it out, and then you're going to refinance out of the initial loan that you used when you first bought the property. Okay, so this particular strategy allows you to purchase a property that you find that's undervalued. Now, whether it's an opportunity that's presented to you, or one that you've gone out and found, or maybe someone tells you that they're tired of being a landlord and they want to sell their rental property, but it's trashed, and you are looking for a rental property yourself, so you're going to utilize what's called typically a hard money loan or a private loan. You're going to get one of these hard money loans to purchase the property cash so that you can do it very, very quickly. And the reason why you want to do that is oftentimes if you present a cash offer to a seller, they don't have the worry of having to get the home appraised now. See, a house is going to go get a buyer is going to buy a home. They're going to put it under contract. But if they have to go out and leverage financing, get a loan from the bank, that bank is going to send an appraiser out to the house to confirm the value is actually what it is of what you guys are under contract for. And if it's not, then there's a hiccup in your negotiations, right? Now the house isn't even worth as much as you are looking to buy it. The seller's bummed because he thinks his house is worth more. You're now bummed because the deal might die unless he's willing to come down to the new appraised value. So when an appraiser is involved, there is a little bit of, possibilities of a hiccup. However, if no appraiser is involved, because you don't need a loan, because you're going to pay cash for the property, then sellers typically are more lenient on selling these types of properties to you at a discount because they don't have to worry about the appraisal. And more typically, importantly, is because if you already have the cash, which hard money lenders already do, and you don't have to wait 45 days for a bank to finance the deal, to go through the financing process and get the loan. For those of you who purchased or sold a home, you know it's typically 30 to 45 days before you're going to be able to close on the sale. Well, if the cash is already available because some hard money lender already has it, then you can fund transactions in 7 days, 5 days. Yeah, I've purchased a home from the time we went under contract and closed in as little as 3 days. I have some friends that have done it in 24 hours. They locked under contract today and were closing the next day because title was free and clear, and they didn't have to worry about any worries on complications with the closing, and money was available. And so this type of quick transaction, quick closing, oftentimes sellers are more open to getting their funds, not having to wait 30 to 45 days. They're oftentimes more lenient on the price if you're willing to be able to give them their funds quicker. So if you can say, hey, listen, because the house is a little rough around the edges, I'm going to have to make some repairs, but I can close this transaction in a week from today or 5 days from today, depending on however fast you want to propose that negotiation. I can give you your money if you're willing to take this particular offer. And in many cases, these offers do get accepted. In many cases, they don't as well, right? Some people are not motivated by speed. They're motivated by the amount. However, there's still a lot of people that are, the value of selling to you isn't the amount. They don't need a ton of money. They need it now. They need the money that they're going to get now. For whatever reason, speed is the value, not the amount. So you have to cater to the seller's needs. Is there a need the amount, or is there a need the speed? If it's the amount, then there's creative financing that you can offer more money, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about the burst strategy. So in this particular case, you're going to offer a fast closing, and so you're going to give them their need, which is money quickly, speed. So basically, you're going to purchase this with a hard money loan utilizing speed, and you're going to close this transaction really, really fast. Now, good rule of thumb is you don't want a ton of big ticket items that you're going to have to remodel. So roof is a big ticket item. Water heater, HVAC, which is the heating and cooling, which is your furnace or air conditioner, or massive amounts of electrical or massive amounts of plumbing. These can be big ticket items. And the rule of thumb is if you purchase a home that you're going to keep as a rental, you want to minimize the amount you spend, you typically don't want to have more than one big ticket item in a rental property. So if you're going to buy something that has some challenges, and let's just say it's the roof, you're going to negotiate accordingly to the price that you're going to need, because you now have to fix a big ticket item, but you don't want to fix more than that because you're going to have then too much money invested in the deal in just remodeling costs. You've already invested in the purchase. Now you don't want to dump more money if you don't have to in the remodeling. Okay, where fix and flip, you can dump as much as you want because, again, if you're just tuning in, we talked about how a fix and flip property, if you have to fix the roof, if you have to fix the heating and cooling, the furnace, the water heater, electrical, plumbing, it's okay as long as it fits your budget. It's okay because an average flip takes about 4 months. So in 4 months, all this money you're spending, you're just going to get right back in a very short period of time. A rental property you're going to hold for years and years and years. You don't want to spend, $10,000 on the roof and $4,000 on new AC unit and air conditioner and furnace and then another $1,000 on a water heater and then another $3,000 on electrical and another $4,000 on plumbing. It's going to take a long time to get 20. If you spent all of that money, you're looking at 20 plus thousand in just remodeling costs. And if your cash flow is only, like we talked about earlier, $50 a month, think about how many months it's going to take you to get that $20,000 back. So we want to keep these big ticket items down to a minimum. If there's more, if you're looking at an investment property because you can get a good deal on it, and there's more than one big ticket item, you may want to consider flipping that property. then it's okay, like we said, to go ahead and spend all that money. You're just going to get it right back in a very short period of time. If there's one big ticket item or less, then that could be a great opportunity for a rental. Okay, so now you've used a hard money loan to purchase it, then you are now in the process of remodeling it. This is the BRRRR strategy for rentals that you're going to buy and hold and keep. So now you've gone through the process of remodeling the home, you've kept your expenses very low, and now it's time to turn around and immediately rent it out to a tenant because it's now rent ready. So you got a good deal on it, you minimize the remodeling cost, and now you're renting it out because this is a good investment for a buy and hold. Now you've got your tenant in there, but while you're looking for your tenant, you also start the process of getting in contact with a loan officer, mortgage broker, whoever, who's going to help you refinance the old hard money loan out. See, hard money loans are typically expensive loans. They have high interest rates, but they're short-term loans. They're loans typically designed for a 6-month period. This allows you to get your house, if you're going to flip it or do the BRRRR strategy, to buy it, remodel it, and then either turn around and sell it or turn around and refinance in about 6 months. Typically that 6-month window will be enough time. So these short-term 6-month loans, and sometimes they can be 12 months, and depending on your relationship with the hard money lender, they can be very, very flexible actually, but typically they're 6 months long. So you're going to now need to get rid of this 6-month loan because the hard money lender wants his money back. The term was 6 months. When you buy a house, your mortgage is typically 30 years with a traditional financing. When you buy a house using a hard money lender, your length of time is typically 6 months. And that's okay because at 15, 12, 13, 14, 15% interest, you want to get rid of that loan as quickly as possible anyway. And with interest rates so low where they are now, you want to be able to refinance that hard money loan into a traditional loan where they're 3%, 4%, and I'm not sure what they are for investment properties exactly today, but you're going to be around 4 to 5% for a second house for an investment property, depending on your credit, of course, depending on your income, all that good stuff, your credit history. But that's a lot better than 12 to 15%, if that makes sense. So now your monthly payment's going to be dramatically smaller because you went from a 15% interest rate down to, let's say, a 5% interest rate. And then this particular property now, you have you got one, a discount on the property. 2, you were able to close it quickly because you utilize a hard money loan, minimize the amount of renovation, and 3, now you're refinancing into a traditional loan that you can hold long term, whether it's forever or whether it's for 5, 6, 7 years. A good rule of thumb is to assess that investment after 10 years. And the reason for that is typically in a 10-year period, you now have paid down, I should say you haven't, your borrowers, or excuse me, your tenants have now paid down that loan quite a bit for you, right? And there's been 10 years of appreciation and equity. There might have been some depreciation along that 10 years, but in typically 10 years, you're going to be positive versus 10 years ago when you bought it. Even if we go in a downturn, and then it always goes back up. In 10 years, it's a good time to reanalyze that property because you now have the loan paid down a bunch, you have equity in it, and also 10 years, believe it or not, is about the time where deferred maintenance might start to become something that you will need to address. So after 10 years, you might need to start investing a little bit more money in, let's say, rain gutters or the siding or different things that are now breaking down. Maybe the furnace was great when you bought it, but it was 20 years old when you bought it, and now it's 30 years old because you've waited 10 years, and now you maybe possibly need to get a new furnace. See, so you're going to want to assess the property 10 years after you purchase it and see if it's going to cost you more money in deferred maintenance, and if it is, then that might be a good opportunity to go ahead and roll up. You're going to sell it, but you're not going to sell it because you want to go on a fabulous trip to Maui. You're going to sell it to roll up to a better investment. See, because now you've paid down the loan and you've got all this appreciation, you've got a large chunk of equity in the home that you can put a big down payment into something bigger and better. So maybe this is a single family house that we're talking about. Well, you want to roll up so you can utilize the 1031 exchange strategy. If you don't know what that is, Google it, but basically it helps you defer your taxes, not pay taxes on that income that you have when you sell an investment property. So that is a fabulous way to keep the money versus give the money to, basically give the money to the government in tax paying, is you can utilize the 1031 exchange with this large chunk of equity, sell this single family house, and then you have a time limit. I believe it's 60 days don't quote me on it, I believe it's 60 days that you have to, maybe it's 45. You have a time period when you have to pinpoint a property. You have to identify a property. And then I believe you have 90 days to actually close on it. But you have to identify it in a short period of time. And so it's good to start the looking process while you're getting ready to sell so that you're not stressed out about finding something really quickly. But you have now found a fourplex. And maybe originally 10 years ago when you got this game started, you couldn't afford a fourplex. You could only afford a single family house because fourplexes are more expensive most of the time. And generally, you're going to find a fourplex, it's going to be more expensive than a single family house. So now you take all this equity, you roll up to a fourplex because now with the large chunk of equity, you have a large deposit, down payment, that now you can afford a fourplex. And then you do this again. Literally, there are people out there who have built empires by just doing this strategy. Now, it depends how young you are, how much of a head start you have on being able to start implementing this. But let's just say you did this, you bought 2 houses, right? In a 10-year period. You bought 2 houses in a 10-year period. You went out in 2020 and you bought 1 house, and then 2021 you bought a second house. You held both of them for 10 years. 10 years from now you 1031 both of those into a fourplex. Now you have 8 units, right? Do that again. 10 years from then you roll up from those 2 fourplexes maybe to 2 10plexes or 2 15plexes, and now you have an apartment building, right? And it's not something that's going to take a lifetime. Again, if you're younger, you're going to have more time on your side. But, if you did this, let's say 2 or 3 times, most people work more than 30 years before they ever retire. If you can, do this 3 times in a 30-year period, you have the capability of owning a large apartment building. And let's just use, for the sake of simple math, a 20plex. Let's just say you did it to a point where you had a 20plex. Rents, depending on where you are in Salt Lake, are around $1,800 for a nice apartment building, and I've seen even some apartment buildings that are really nice that are renting for $1,900, $2,000 a month. But let's just, for the sake of easy math, call it $2,000 a month. If you have a 20plex and 20 units are generating $2,000 a month, you're going to have expenses, of course. You're going to have some vacancies, property management costs, some maintenance, and all that stuff. But you're going to gross. You're going to, depending on your vacancy rate, you're going to have the potential to generate approximately $40,000 a month on a 20plex that rents $2,000 a month, minus all of the debt service, and maybe 30 years from now it's free and clear. So maybe you don't have even debt service. So now all that 40 grand is going to property management, expenses, you got your vacancy rates, taxes, of course, insurance. But minus all of that, you're still left with a very healthy retirement. And so when I say this is literally a strategy that people have implemented to build empires, of course they've gone way bigger than the 20plex, but there are a lot of people that just get to the 10plex, 20plex, call it a day, and now they have a nice, safe, hypothetically safe retirement versus, Social Security, waiting for that money to come in, and they live a more lavish retirement lifestyle. So 10 years is a good number to hypothetically reassess your investment. And maybe it's not the time you want to sell. Maybe you still love it in 10 years. Maybe everything's working great. It's the best area. You love the location. It is what it is. But 10 years tends to be a good time to check to see if it's a good opportunity to roll up. Okay, so we're going to jump again to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to keep talking about this stuff. Remodeling, of course, versus remodeling for a fix and flip versus remodeling for a buy and hold, the importance of keeping your costs down for one versus the other. So, on that note, we are going to dive to commercial, and stay tuned. Hi, I'm Yoshi Shiraki, the author of the book, My Body's Just For Me, the book written for children to educate children on the prevention of child abuse. With the assistance of multiple best-selling author Richard Paul Evans, we were able to publish this book as a tool to help break the ice on an easy and innocent way to help children understand and learn how to speak up and communicate. I've been invited numerous times onto Good Things Utah to discuss the importance of good communication with your child in regards to abuse, and also to discuss how my book, My Body's Just For Me, is a great tool for every parent when having that tricky conversation with their children. For more information on the book, My Body's Just For Me, please visit www.protectourangels.com today. And remember, the more we focus on prevention, the less we focus on rehabilitation. All right, we are back. You are listening to K-Talk Radio, 1640 AM. I am your host, Yoshi Shiraki. This is the show, Utah Home Sweet Home. If you're just tuning in today, we are talking about remodeling an investment property for a fix and flip versus a buy and hold, because they're two completely different strategies. One has a lot more flexibility and leeway, and if you've been listening, you now understand why, on why you can spend way more money on a fix and flip remodel versus the renovation of a buy and hold. With the renovation of a buy and hold, you want to keep those remodelings down to a minimum, because you don't want to take years and years and years to get that money back that you've spent into the property. So, a lot of people will analyze their cash return on investment, right? The return on investment based off of the cash they've had to come up with to invest in the house. So, if you buy a house and you're leveraging a loan, that's not your cash, so you don't have to worry about that cash necessarily. What you have to worry about is the down payment or whatever initial investment it cost you to get into the deal, right? So let's just say, hypothetically, you spent $40,000 as a down payment to buy a home. And if your cash flow was $50 a month, after everything was said and done, your tenant paid you rent, and you took that rental income and paid down the mortgage payment that you owe on it, you pay your taxes, you pay your insurance, you pay the property manager, and you spend any little money, or maybe sometimes not little, but you spend the money it takes to maintain that property. Maybe it has a leaky roof, maybe the window broke, whatever it may be that you're going to pay in maintenance, deferred maintenance on that property. Let's just say hypothetically on average you're left with $50 a month. Well, your cash return on investment is, how long is it going to take me to get my $40,000 initial investment back if I get back $50 a month, right? It's going to take a long time, which is why we want to minimize our return on investment. So if you spend, hypothetically, a $40,000 down payment on the home, and then still go in there and spend another $15,000, $20,000 on renovations, even if you got a good deal on the home, a low price on the home, now you're looking at about $60,000 that you have of initial investment in, that you now are making $50 a month cash flow to get it back. So everybody, depending on where they are, that could be a great scenario for some and a terrible scenario for others. If you're just tuning in, I'll give you a quick example again. So if you're, let's say, a high generating income individual in a specific career, you're a doctor, a surgeon, a dentist, an attorney, and you love what you do, and this investment property that you're purchasing is just a place to park your money, then yeah, $50 a month isn't a big deal to you, because that's not something that you're going to worry about anyway. You're going to have somebody pay down your mortgage for you over the 30 years of having the loan, which is your tenant. You're going to generate a little bit of cash flow, which will grow every potential year. Your mortgage payment typically stays the same, and next year, today it's 50, next year it's 100, next year, it's maybe 110, 150, whatever, however fast you can raise your rent will eventually grow. And you don't need, obviously, the cash flow to live off of, because you already have a great living. This is just a place that you're going to park your money and you don't have the time to go out and look at a lot of opportunities to find something better because you're a full-time professional at whatever you do, then this might not be a terrible investment for you, right? But for somebody who has dedicated their day to going out there and finding the best opportunities, and again, if you're just tuning in, being in real estate myself, I get a chance to look at approximately 24 to 40 opportunities a month. So that type of opportunity for me would be one I'd probably pass on, because seeing 40 opportunities every single month, I know I can find something that will be higher performing, a better performing property, right? So it really depends on where you are. But at the end of the day, the rule is still the same, that you want to minimize how much you spend in your renovations if it's a buy and hold, okay? Again, if it's a fix and flip, that's okay, because we're going to tend to get the money back in a very short period of time. On average, it's about 4 months before you buy a home, fix it up, and turn around and sell it. So you're not keeping your money there for very long. You're going to get it back. So, of course, there's a lot more flexibility on spending more money on a flip. Okay, so we talked about wholesaling a minute ago, earlier at the start of the show. You know, if you're just tuning in, I'll see anywhere from about 7 to 10 opportunities a week, which translates to about 28 to 40 properties a month. And these are properties that will come through the combination of my own efforts. I'll find these opportunities on my own, or people will bring them to me, and these people are typically what we call wholesalers. And the reason I want to talk about this a little bit is because I am the vice president of the Utah Valley Real Estate Investing Association. If you're thinking about getting involved in real estate, you absolutely need to join a real estate investing association. I believe it's only like $150 for the month. It allows you to come to our 12 monthly meetings that we have on I think it's the third or fourth Thursday of every month. And I don't remember, it's just in my iPhone, it just tells me when it's coming up. So you can go to our website, which is basically the acronym UVREIA, UVREIA.com, stands for Utah Valley Real Estate Investing Association, UVREIA.com. Go to our website, you can see what days we have our monthly meetings. We also have monthly luncheons where we also have more education. And then we have seminars, which we do have today, right now as we speak. I'm actually going to be a little bit late for the seminar, but we have an attorney by the name of Bill Bronacek who has offered to teach the strategies and the legalities of wholesaling, because it is a tricky topic. If you're doing it incorrectly, it can bring you trouble, and so you want to make sure you're doing it the right way. But it gives you discounts to our seminars. So today we've got, if you're not doing anything today and you're thinking, man, I'd love to find these discounted opportunities and make some income in real estate, a side hustle or my main hustle, whatever you want to call it, I highly recommend heading down where the seminar is going. It just kicked off about 40 minutes ago. It started at 9 a.m. It's in Pleasant Grove. And we're going to be there all day today from 9 to 5, listening from this attorney sharing the strategies of wholesaling. But this is important because either one, you're going to learn how to find these opportunities yourself, or two, you're going to get on and build, you're going to start as many relationships as possible with wholesalers and get on all of their wholesaling lists, right? So basically, when a wholesaler out there finds an opportunity, they're going to be able to give you these opportunities to take a peek at, first crack at, and see if it's something that you want to purchase. And they're going to be typically discounted, and as I mentioned earlier in the show, they're typically not available to the mass market. They're available to a group of real estate investors, whoever's basically on their list. So if you want to learn this, head on down to UVREIA today, Pleasant Grove, go to our website, get the information. I think it's $200 for the full day seminar, which is super worth it. If this is something that you're truly thinking about getting involved in. Jump in your car, continue listening to the radio show as you're driving down, but I promise you, you will not regret hearing from Bill Bronacek. He is a very savvy real estate investor who knows the legalities as a real estate attorney as well. So, talking about wholesaling, basically, these individuals will go out and they'll do lots of marketing. And the marketing comes in so many different forms. They'll do mailing campaigns. They will do what we call bandit signs. And you'll see these signs all over the city that says "We buy houses," right? Those are bandit signs. You'll see billboards. Sometimes they'll even purchase a billboard. They will do what's called door hangers. They're going to get a bunch of flyers that basically they hang on your doorknob. And they even door knock. And so basically what will happen is these individuals will go out and through all sorts of efforts, they're going to find the individuals that have homes that have challenges, right? And for every challenge that you can find, typically there's an opportunity there. I believe the saying goes like this: the money you generate, the money you generate, or the income you generate from an opportunity is based off of how big of a challenge you have to fix or remedy. So if you find a small challenge, for example, then you're probably going to get a small discount. However, if you find a huge challenge, that is where people become wealthy. And I'm talking like, you know, the people out there that own the biggest buildings, apartment buildings, I mean the most savviest investors out there, they typically have the ability to create solutions for the largest challenges out there that generate them the largest opportunity for profit, right? So the bigger the challenge, your income or your profit from a particular opportunity is completely dictated on the size of the challenge that you're going to be able to remedy. I think that's how the saying goes. And if you go out there, door knock, send out these mailers, do the door hangers, all these different things, what you're basically looking for is the needle in the haystack, the opportunity that has the biggest challenge. You know, a house that may be caught on fire. I have a buddy who bought a home. These individuals owned this family that lived in the house, owned the house, of course. They had the home free and clear, paid it off completely, and when they paid it off completely, they weren't making insurance payments anymore on the home. See, when you buy a house and you have a loan on it, the bank makes sure you have insurance on it, because if, you know, God forbid that property gets burnt down to the ground, then the bank is protected on the money they loaned you, right? Because you're not going to be able to pay the bank back, and now you don't have a house. So they require you to have insurance. And so when you make your mortgage payment, I don't know if you've ever looked at your statement, but part of that's going to the insurance company, part of that's going to taxes, and part of it's going to the bank, right? It's going through escrow and going to these different parties. Well, when you pay your house off free and clear, and there's no now bank that is requiring you to pay insurance, the only person who is responsible to require you to pay insurance is yourself. And if you forget, which believe it or not happens more than you think, because people haven't gotten used to, over the 30-year term that they had their mortgage, or 10-year, or however long they owned the home and paid it off, they never actually wrote a check hypothetically to the insurance company. They always wrote it to their mortgage company, and then it got escrowed out to the appropriate people. They aren't in the habit of now thinking, oh, my house is free and clear, I should write a check to a party that I've never written a check to, right? You don't think that way. You've always wrote to your mortgage company, but now that the mortgage company's paid off, you need to write it directly to the insurance company. So what happened was, this family paid off their house, and unfortunately their house caught on fire, and 50% of the home burnt. Now, it didn't burn down to the ground, but I mean, the roof was gone, the walls were black, the 2x4s were charred. I mean, half of the house needed to be rebuilt, basically. So, I mean, it was like, it might as well have burnt to the ground, because you had to rebuild that half again. So, unfortunately for this family, because they did not have insurance, and they had to move out, because of course now half their house doesn't have a roof, and I don't know if you've ever seen a house after it's been put out, the fire's been put out, but, you know, the water damage, the hose, I mean, there's a lot of damage that happens from the process of putting out a fire. that of course these people had to move out, and now they didn't have the insurance to rebuild it, so I don't know if they moved in with family or if they went and rented a place or had money to go buy another one, but they now had this house that was just sitting there without the ability to fix it. And a buddy of mine came across it, and this is a home that had a huge challenge. And because it had a huge challenge, the sellers were willing to sell it for a steep discount. And because they were willing to sell it for a steep discount, it took him a long time to put it back together, but because he was willing to remedy a large challenge, he was able to generate a large profit, right? So, again, the larger the challenge, usually the larger the potential profit for that opportunity will come. So these wholesalers will go out and do all these types of different things all these different types of strategies of marketing. We're going to talk a little bit more about these strategies of marketing when we get back from commercial break. So don't go anywhere. If you're wondering how they, other ways of how they find these, I will share those with you as soon as we are back. With smartphones and technology making life a little easier, the Snap Leash has also been designed to make life a little easier for you and your pup. Whether you're out on a stroll in the park, or possibly a walk through the city, or maybe even a hike up in the mountains, the Snap Leash is the perfect leash for you. The Snap Leash can conveniently and easily convert into 7 types of leashes, making the Snap Leash the most convenient leash in the world. What other leash do you know that is 7 leashes in one? With the Snap Leash having appearances on the Today Show in New York City, TV 47 in Dallas, Texas, and ABC 4 right here on Midday Utah, you are definitely going to want to take a peek at what the Snap Leash can do for you and your best friend. Make life a little easier for you and your pup, and visit www.snapleash.com today. All right, I don't know if you guys ever watch Fox 13 on Fridays at about 11:55 p.m., just right before noon. I'm on Fox 13 every week for about 90 seconds. So what I do on Fox 13 is I introduce the pet of the day who's up for adoption. And basically the Utah Humane Society, which is an amazing organization if you're thinking about buying or purchasing or adding a new family member and it's a cat or a dog, I highly recommend adopting a dog from the Utah Humane Society. They have puppies, 2 older dogs. Some of the dogs are even trained already. They're just owner surrendered for whatever reason. Owners sometimes have health issues, and they return these dogs, or they surrender these dogs to the Humane Society. Anyways, the reason I'm talking about that is I utilize the Snap Leash every Friday on Fox 13. So if you've ever watched Fox 13, you may have seen me with the Snap Leash. All right, so we are back. You're listening to K-Talk Radio, 1640 AM. This is the show, Utah Home Sweet Home. I am your host, Yoshi Shiraki. We are talking about how to find these different opportunities that you can get at a discount and that are not on the MLS or on the normal market up for sale, right? Because wholesalers, they don't typically, now they do find from time to time opportunities on the MLS. Again, the bigger the challenge, the less amount of people are interested. So you can go on the MLS and find houses that have big challenges, foundation challenges, burned up fire challenges, all sorts of challenges that the average person who's going to shop for a home looks on the MLS and sees is not going to buy. So wholesalers do find these opportunities as well on the MLS. But most of the time they're finding them off the MLS because they're usually not dealing with a ton of competition on getting these different properties. So one thing you can do, if this is something that whether you want to cold call a bunch or you may already know some people who do property management for a living, what you can do is you can reach out to property managers and inform these property managers, call them all. I mean, if you're hungry to find a good opportunity, this is a phenomenal strategy that you're going to be able to beat out most of the competition. Call every property manager in your area, in the Salt Lake area, in the Utah County, Salt Lake County, Davis County, Weber County area, wherever you want to find investment properties. Call every property manager and let them know, listen, I am looking to buy investment properties. If for any reason any of your clients who you manage their rental properties decide they want to sell, would you be open to allowing me to purchase the property? Now, most property managers, just so you know, are licensed real estate agents. So the next thing you'd say is, would you allow me first opportunity to buy the property? I would use you as the real estate agent as well. So you would basically, they would make the full commission. You're not going to bring a real estate agent to the table. You're going to use them. So they're going to make more money. And if I keep it as a rental property, I'll even let you continue managing the property. Now, when one of their clients comes to them and says, hey, we're thinking about selling our property, that particular individual realizes they're about to lose that income. If that landlord, their client, sells the property, then the rental income that they're generating as a property manager for that landlord will go away because they won't manage the property anymore if it's sold. They'll lose that house from their inventory. However, because you said that you were going to keep it there, and of course you should, I mean, otherwise you're going to burn that bridge and they'll never send you another one. But if you continue to build that relationship, they'll continue to send you more. Then this property management company realizes that there's a phenomenal financial benefit for them to ask the landlord, would you mind, I have a gentleman, I have a lady, I have an individual who's looking to purchase real estate, would you mind if I allow them to see your home to see if they'd be interested in purchasing it, right? What's the worst thing that landlord's going to say? No. Well, they just got done saying they want to sell it. So of course they're going to say, yeah, have them swing by and take a peek at it. And if they like it, let's get the deal done, right? So lots of different ways to find these types of opportunities. There are so many more ways, but of course, unfortunately, we are out of time. So if you've missed any part of this show, go to our website, www.utahhomesweethome.com. The name of the show is Utah Home Sweet Home. utahhomesweethome.com. From our website, you will see our social media buttons. We have these shows recorded so that you can go back at your leisure and listen and view the content in case it's something that you feel that might be beneficial for you to hear again, or if you missed, hear for the first time. So go to utahhomesweethome.com. And again, this is your host, Yoshi Shiraki, and I want to thank you guys so very much for listening.